Welcome to another episode of the Aligned Feminine podcast. I'm Akanksha, your host, and today I'm sitting down with Bani Singh Chadha, who is a former journalist and broadcast anchor at NDTV for 13 years. She then switched tracks to pursue her passion of astrology. For the last several years, she has now been teaching astrology full time and is a Vedic counselor. Welcome, Bani. I am so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Thank you for having me, Akanksha, as excited as I am as well.
Yeah, I'll be honest, this is a new field for me. I haven't been able to go deep into astrology and the planets, so I think I'll be able to learn a lot from you today. And that is, I think, what I would love for you to begin, just dive deep into what is Jyotish and tell me all about the planets.
Okay, so astrology has been around, and we call it Jyotish. That's the
Yeah.
Sanskrit name.
Okay.
It's based on something very simple, a simple law, which is that for every action there is a reaction.
Mm.
We all understand that.
Yeah.
For
We
every
learned that in
action, there is
physics.
a reaction. And
Yeah.
the purpose of astrology is basically to know more about what positive and negative actions we've done in the past. Because where we are today is just a result of our past action. And where we're likely to be tomorrow is based on what we do today. So, Jyotish will link three very important things, which is your past, your present, and your future. So, for me, Jyotish is the art of daily living, really, because it helps you understand that you are responsible for where you are. There's great humility in that as well. And the focus really is on more awareness in what you're thinking, in how or what your desires are actually, because the root cause of, or let's say, our actions begin first with desires. I want something, then I figure out how should I go and get that thing, and then I finally act, right?
Yeah.
So it puts the focus back on your desires. And the way to really do it is to make sure that your desires are more wholesome. So in Jyotish, we have 9 planets, like everyone's heard of Shani. Of course, everywhere there's so much fear of Shani, but and it's sad because he's the god of karma. So all he's really doing is giving you exactly what you have put out.
Okay.
Literally, that's all you're getting back. So he kind of has the portfolio of karma in the celestial world, and he gives out justice, and he's just a mirror in that sense. So when we talk of the 9 planets, we have 7 visible planets, right? From Sun to Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn. So you have these 7. Now these are important because we map them to the week. So the first day is Sunday, which is the day of the sun, right? The first day of the week is not Monday, it's actually Sunday. And on a Sunday, there's more energy because, I mean, even if you don't believe in astrology, you will admit that sun is the a visible divine, the source of your energy, amongst so many other things. So a simple practice every day of just waking up in the morning and going and showing your gratitude to the sun is something that will help you feel far more centered. Just a simple hi in the morning doesn't have to be anything so dramatic, because he's firing up everything in your body. He's like that generator, comes on, the switch comes on, and then you're able to digest your food. Simply put, you're also able to, the sun fires up your mental, emotional, creative, everything. It represents your health, your spiritual health, everything, right? So that's the source of all energy for us. So on a Sunday, instead of, I mean, we all wake up very late, it's a day off. It's actually the day you should be up first thing in the morning. Use the energy of the sun to plan your week ahead. It's a very powerful day to make those plans, jot down what you want to do in the week. Most of us waste it, but that's something that one should do.
Yeah.
So Sunday is the first day. That's why we say REWIRE, right? Ravi is another name of the sun.
Yeah.
So each planet is linked to a weekday, an animal, a metal, right?
Okay.
A certain relationship in your life, and sun is the father.
Oh, okay.
So, when we have a weak sun, say, in our birth charts, we're likely to face more humiliation. We're likely to just feel underconfident. So, just a simple practice with the sun every Sunday, every day will help you at least in these two areas, doing positive things for your father, for instance, because sun is the father. So, similarly, if we move to, say, the moon's day is Monday and represents the mother because the moon is, during the day, in the daylight, you can't see anything but the sun.
Yeah.
Right? Is there anything else you can see in the sky? There's just so much there, but you can't see it.
Yeah.
Because that's the sun. He's the king. He's, besides being the king, he represents power, status, authority. So obviously he shines, and no one else shines in front of him. But when we come to the moon in the night sky, you can see so much more. You can see the stars, you can see the planets, right? So the moon is more about when we come back home in the evening, right? Family time, nurturing, nourishment. A very simple way to improve your moon is, for instance, cooking. It really helps. It helps improve your moon, and you have to keep your moon at a certain equilibrium because that's your emotion. So you are 70% water. And if, say, the moon's gravitational pull can influence an ocean, I mean, you're just a very small, tiny little part there. Obviously, the moon and its different phases will affect you every day and every minute of the day, in fact. That's why sometimes in the morning you're feeling happy, by the evening you're cranky. Or how many different moods do we go through? That's just the way the moon is. It's very fleeting, like our mind. So emotions, moon is emotions. Moon is the mother, caring, nurturing, right? That's why there's the moon's day is Monday, and also Lord Shiva's day, because Lord Shiva wears the moon on his head. He's the one that saved him from this curse. So prayers to Lord Shiva, in fact, will always strengthen your moon, help you keep more equilibrium in your emotions.
Moon also affects women's cycles, like
Yeah,
the menstrual
of course.
cycle. Is that somehow also connected with the
Everything is connected.
Okay.
Everything is connected. So yes, the moon affects that. The moon is the genetic link between a parent and a child. Think about it this way: when you're even in your creation and the process of your own creation, from the sperm, right, which is a water element in that sense, goes to Valva. Then after that, you're in a water bag, right, before you're born. So the water element is so key. The moon and even the planet Venus, both are the water element planets that we have, because each planet obviously maps to one of the five elements, just like we are. We're all made of the five elements. You have fire, you have water, you have ether, you have air, and you have the earth element. So every little thing that you have is based out of this in different configurations. So moon is extremely important because that's 70% of you. So, simple practices for the moon. It's water. Just don't waste water. Do positive things for your mother. Do emotionally support other people. A lot of people just need someone to talk to. Be emotionally there for them, right? So, even with every planet, there are things you can donate, because when you donate something, you're also spreading out your karma. You're also distributing your karma, right? And we all have negative karma as well. So that's something that a lot of people don't take to prayers, or they don't enjoy sitting down or visiting, say, a spiritual place. But these are other things that you can do. Now, the next planet is Mars. He's the commander in chief. He protects everyone. He's your courage, your logic, your sense of logic, right? And represents all, say, people in uniform. So just doing positive things for people in uniform, even donating blood, is a great remedy for Mars. Now, when Mars is weak, again, you'll be a little underconfident. Energy levels will be weaker. So each of these planets, we kind of call them, we don't call them planets, we call them grahas. Grahas mean to grip, grasp. So they kind of grasp you, and they will force you to experience your karma. It could be good as well and bad, but they all have their own way of making you do these things. Now, Thursday is the day we say Guru Var. So it's the day of Jupiter, right? It's the day of Jupiter, and Jupiter is knowledge, wisdom, prosperity, wealth. In a female horoscope, we see Jupiter for happiness from their husband. Jupiter is the most benevolent planet. In fact, tomorrow it's changing signs and it's going to be there for 1 year. So it's a really big day. It's kind of like, shifting houses. So when we're moving houses, so it's like that. A very simple thing for Jupiter is while we say Jupiter is an expert in all types of learning, so it helps us learn. And you probably experienced in your own life that some people on paper may be very educated, but they're not wise. Wisdom will not come if you're educated, right? But a lot of very wise people are not necessarily well educated, right? In the real sense of the term. So Jupiter is that wisdom. He helps you use your sense of discrimination and just bind up all your learnings and do the right thing, because it's a very empathetic planet. It's the guru. When you go to a guru and you talk about your first world problems, you won't turn around and say, "Oh, that's so silly" or whatever. They're so empathetic, and they listen and they hear you out, right? And they give you confidence. So that's Jupiter for everyone. Venus, everyone knows Venus. Venus is comforts, luxury, but very small part though, because Venus is also Mahalakshmi, as we say. And Mahalakshmi is all about unconditional love and harmony. So living in harmony with everyone and every form of nature. So, like for Venus, a simple thing, just respect women, give them their due. Very simple. We all are surrounded by so many of us. Lift each other up, right? That is a very good remedy for Venus. Now, the last day of the week, Shanivar, is the day of Saturn. Saturn, last day of the week. So, I would say that he represents a boundary. What he's trying to tell you is that don't cross this boundary. The moment you cross your boundary, you're getting into someone else's boundary, right? So Saturn is a planet that's on the side of the weak, the handicapped, the downtrodden, the aged. So he's all about sharing in your abundance, doing seva, sacrificing, because all of nature is doing exactly that. I mean, the sun doesn't send us a bill every month. Hey, I come up every morning, same time I give you sunlight. Now, because I come up, you know that the next day has arrived, right? It's just part of service and sacrifice. He doesn't get a day off or anything. So from that perspective, Saturn is all about service and sacrifice. And he causes, yes, he does cause obstacles and struggles in our life. Things get very slow. That's one thing you always experience in Saturn periods. But the thing is that even though we know we shouldn't do certain things, we all still err on the side of, we take our chances. And when we do that, there has to be someone who pushes us back and says, hey, stay in your own lane, right? And for Saturn, his point is, if I don't push you to the wall, you will not change. And if you really want deep change in your life, even like spiritual practices, whether it's meditation or it's any form of contemplation, anything, growth, real growth will only come with a certain amount of work. You have to be at it for a long period of time. Otherwise, what will happen is that you'll keep slipping back to your earlier patterns. Now, Saturn sits in one zodiac sign, and I'll give you this. I'll give you this example. Saturn sits in one zodiac sign, so Aries, Capricorn, right? One zodiac sign for 2.5 years. The moon stays in a zodiac sign for 2.5 days. Look at the difference. So for Saturn has so much time to work on you. Because he's just there. His point is, hey, buddy, I'm not moving from here now till you don't learn your lesson. So he will be there. He will make sure that you serve, that you sacrifice. And that's the time he kind of measures your actions. And where we're failing, he will help us because he's just a teacher. His point is, I have to help you evolve. That's basically what you're here to do. So I'm going to push you against the wall. I'm going to work on you. I'm going to make you have a strong foundation so that you grow. So really, that's all he's doing. And with Shani, yes, he does delay things in our life, right? And when we have obstacles that come our way, we also get better at what we do, right? I mean, his point is that he knows our deepest secrets. He understands our deepest intentions, and intention is everything. The intention with which you do something is everything. So inadvertently, we may do so many things every day. That's not bad karma technically, because our intention was not that. But so you may appear to be doing good things, but the intention is different. Well, then you will be meeting Shani more often. So from that perspective, he's just saying that there are consequences to your action. There is an eternal law of nature, and you have to abide by that eternal law of nature. He makes sure that there's no chaos, right? Otherwise, there'd be complete chaos. See, we know we shouldn't cheat, we shouldn't lie, we shouldn't murder, we shouldn't all of that, but these things happen, right? Even though we are told don't do this or don't do that. That's why we have a penal system of justice, right? We have the judicial system. Now, Saturn is that judicial system up in the sky. Yeah, yeah. So you may escape it here, but you will never escape it there, which is also very encouraging. It's very comforting, because if you put out good, you know that he knows, and that's all that's really important, right? You don't worry about anyone else. You just worry about what you're doing, what your desires are, what your action is, and that's all you really need to concern yourself with Saturn. So that covers the 7. And by the way, this number 7 is very interesting, because we have, 7 colors of the rainbow. We have 7 chakras in our body, right? We have 7 visible planets. We have 7 saptarishis, the celestial gurus that we have. But we have 9 planets. Now, if you've heard of the electromagnetic spectrum, you have 9, right? So you have the Vibgyor, which is violet, indigo, blue, right? And then you have the infrared and you have the ultraviolet. So Rahu and Ketu are these two.
Okay.
So Rahu and Ketu are two. It's not something that you studied in school.
These are also grahas.
These are grahas. But it's not like when we were in school, we studied about them, right? We studied about the rest of them because we can see. You can still see Saturn. You can still see Jupiter. You can still, right? Sun and moon are so important in Jyotish because you see them every day. Obviously, they affect you more. They're very important. They're the celestial mother and father. So the divine mother and father. But now the thing with Rahu Ketu are that they represent the more mysterious, eccentric, perverse sides of our life. So everyone has a dark side, and Rahu Ketu is your dark side. Okay, both of them. So they're two different, and they're mathematical points. You can't see them. So obviously, they will affect the more invisible part of our anatomy. And what is the invisible part of our anatomy? Our emotions, our tendencies, our vices. So I can, we're having this conversation, but you don't know how I'm feeling exactly emotionally. Am I anxious? Am I nervous? You can't see it on my face. So they work on these invisible things. I mean, just because you can't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. For instance, if there wasn't any Rahu, we'd never know what's happening inside of our body. X-ray machines, CT scan machines, even forensic science is all based on Rahu, and our remote controls, etc., is all infrared, which is Ketu. Things you can't visibly see. They represent the more emotional things, and they can bring emotional trauma, and they can bring psychological turmoil in our lives, right? So that's your 9 planets, very basically. I mean, for Sun, like I said, wake up early, start your day early, like our ancient
Sunday.
people do, on a Sunday especially, and just in a simple way, honor the fire element, the only element that we cannot pollute. So simply, even if you light a diya every day, that's something you can do to strengthen your sun. For the moon, like I said, just don't waste water. Very simple remedy. Don't waste water. Donate water. Serve water to people, right? Mars, do something positive for police officers, even army widows, donating blood. These are all things that you can do for Mars. Even doing some gardening helps,
For
right? Because
Mars.
Mars is Bhumi Putra. So doing some getting your hands dirty, even for Mercury to some extent. But Mercury is more about communication, and communicating in a more pleasant way is something you can do for Mercury. Uh, Also speaking the truth, because Mercury is like a dual planet, represents the duality in our life. For Jupiter, very simple: service to your gurus. Don't speak ill of your teachers. Don't make fun of them. Don't have something nice to say, just don't say anything. Okay.
That's
And give good advice, you know, advice without bias. For Saturn, I would just say, Saturn is all about the people that represent Saturn in your life are the people who serve you. So your help at home, people who are very isolated, because Saturn is, say, the furthest in the solar system in the planets that we study, and who's really isolated in your homes. Say our grandparents, they're home all day, everyone's out the whole day. You will come back, you'll be tired, you'll say one hi or whatever. Spending time with them, being of service to them, that is something you can do for Saturn. Even just giving good tips to people who clean toilets, for instance, because imagine their day of work is to go to a toilet and clean it all day, right? So you'll find a lot of people can be a little unkind. They're walking in, but to have that awareness that they are very removed from the general hustle bustle of everyday life, right? Even people who work in crematoriums, for instance, they also represent Saturn. So basically, people who serve you, because really charity begins at home. First, make sure people who are with you and they are serving you are happy, are comfortable, right? Venus, like I said, be good to women, respect women, right? That's a very easy thing to do. Ketu, I would say, it's all about moksha. His point is, all this is going to be left here. Concentrate on things that are more lasting, knowledge. So reading spiritual scriptures is something that is a good thing to do for Ketu, because it is a spiritual planet, it is a spiritual graha. And for Rahu, just reduce your screen time. Be very careful of addictions. So, I mean, we're able to have this conversation also because of Rahu, right? So, reducing your screen time. Yeah.
mindful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And remember, you said something about which planet is associated with service and sacrifice?
Shani.
Shani. So I wanted to understand from you, what exactly do you mean by sacrifice? Like why do we have to sacrifice?
Because we've all done negative action.
Okay.
And
So it's kind of like a
important to
repentance.
atone, penance a
Yeah.
little bit, or create a lack. Let's put it like that.
Create a
Create a
lack.
lack in your life. Something that I see that works very well for Shani is fasting, right? Now, fasting is not a ritual, really. I mean, it's not like because you are religious, you are fasting. Understand that every day of the week is one planet, and your digestion which takes place is dependent on, or let's say the energy of that planet is used to digest your food. So on Sunday it's more sun, on Monday it's more of the moon, on Tuesday it's more of Mars, right? Because the moment you say skip a meal, or you're fasting, you're just going easy on your stomach, etc., not using your digestion so much, your digestive power, what happens is that that planet doesn't affect you as much, because it's not spending that much time digesting, helping you digest your food. So that's literally like the one that's. So if you on a Saturday just don't eat, in fact, our Shastras say that on a Tuesday and on a Saturday. So on a Tuesday, have one meal. And on Saturdays, for instance, just tone down, live more in lack. So just as in one way is to deny yourself something you really like. Also, fasting is so much more than just food,
Yeah.
right? Fasting is about fasting from all five senses, going within. I mean, it is such a great way to mentally strengthen yourself, right? Because we are eclipsed in three very different ways. Our mind gets eclipsed because of all of our desires that pull us in so many different directions. Our body is eclipsed by hunger, by thirst, right? And our soul by the karma that we do, right? So, one way to reduce the effect of a planet that may not be very positively working for you is to fast on that day. It will affect you a little lesser. And you're also saying that, hey, I'm trying to make amends. I'm doing some prashchit in that sense.
Taking some action towards.
I'm okay. I've done this. Okay, but I'm trying.
Okay.
Right? Because now, even if I tell you, please go back 1 hour and change what you have done and come back, you can't.
Yeah.
Right? It's done. You will get a reaction to that. But, remedies, etc. I don't like to say the word remedy, but these are all ways that we get more awareness about how to use our free will better and more consciously.
What is your take on prayers? As in, do you think it's important to pray? And do you pray? How do you feel about praying?
Um,
Because I ask because there's a lot of people are against praying in a way because it has this
why do you think they're against praying?
because it has a very religious connotation to it, but it doesn't have to actually.
I think that any spiritual practice, it could be prayer, it could be gardening, it could be journaling, it could be anything. There's no hierarchy here. This is the best and this is the second best. No, it's what works for and what you are able to connect with and resonate with more than anything else. Because the one thing about any ritual is that you've got to do it every day. You have to show up for it every day. And there's a very important reason why. Any spiritual practice, what it does is it's like like when a plane takes off, it goes above the clouds, right? And then reaches that sunlight, right? Even playing field. Spiritual practices uplift you in the same way. They help in elevate your inner world. They help elevate your soul. Now, I follow a very regimented morning routine, which sets me up for the whole day, which is non negotiable. Because besides having seen the benefits of it, I also understand now the need for it, right? In our Shastras, the name for it is Nitya Karam. And Nitya means that you do it every day. And it's a set of things that you do, whatever it is that works for you. But this is what we do for the improvement of the immune system of your soul. And that also requires some work. Everyday rituals, prayers, mantras. Mantras are what cleanse your mind. Your mind needs to be clean as well, right? So say, from the, from the moment you wake up, you step out of your house, you face negative circumstances. Yes, you get in touch with so many different fields of energy. You meet someone, they're upset, they tell you something. So you're taking so much energy, and others are taking your energy. So negativity is there. So I would say that a daily ritual, whether it's Nitya Karam or anything to that extent, is basically keeping you uplifted. Right? It helps you meet your day with more zeal, more enthusiasm, cleanse that negativity up. You've got to keep your Atma, as we say, prajwalit. So that's something that it really helps with. Now, why every day? Time has to be fixed. I mean, even when we talk about, I tell a lot of my students that you've got to give water to the sun, jal to or arg to Surya every morning, but it has to be at a particular time because the sun also comes up at a particular time, and you've got to meet that same time, right? Because the divine force, even when you sit down to pray, the divine force and you are coming together in a particular moment. What happens when you do that? A frequency is established. And when that frequency is established, right, we've also set a time for this talk, right, to sit down and have this conversation. So when that frequency gets established, what happens is that you'll begin to feel it. It's something that you'll feel actually. You can't see it. And when you feel that frequency, you know that that connection has been made.
That's so true.
And then you honor that frequency, that connection every single day. So the earlier in the morning you do it, the better. So that's why time has to be set, right? I mean, rituals anchor us. They anchor us. They will give us that energy every day to meet life with more confidence. अगर आपका money हारा हुआ है, then what will you do, right? So you've got to keep yourself going every day and remove those negative things that you keep interacting with. Even screen, all day we're on our phones and we're looking at things without even realizing there's intake of so much. And when we talk of intake of our five senses, it's the eyes. That's maximum intake is 70% of the intake is from our eyes, right? And then our ears. I mean, very little from our mouth, in fact, the
Yes.
least from our mouth, right? So I think that whatever ritual you do, try and do it every day at the same time. That's important. Any prayers that you do.
Is it committing to yourself?
Correct. Absolutely. Especially when we talk of, a ritual where you pray or you chant mantras. Again, that's something that should be finished before 9:30 in the morning. You have to cleanse yourself before you do that. You can't sit and do it without a bath, for instance. It's important to do all of these.
Bathing is also a form of cleansing, right?
Of course it is. Of course it is. Yeah. Cleansing, you remove, I mean, you have to cleanse yourself. You have to be as shuddha sattvic as possible.
So empty stomach, bathe.
Empty stomach. Correct. I mean, we always say, right, if you're even sitting down for meditation, any spiritual practices, you have to keep your stomach more empty than full, right? It helps you concentrate more. And especially when we talk of specific festivals like Shivratri, where, a 24 fast is good to do. We don't really have so much grains or anything. You can still take liquids. But I mean, if you ever fasted a whole day, you will. I mean, it's not really about the hunger. The
Yeah.
next day, what you feel so alive.
Mm.
And it's such a reset to your digestion more than anything else. You've given your system a rest. I mean, but it's so difficult to even think about skipping that one meal, right? So difficult to do that.
What your morning routine looks like? What do you
Well, I start my day very early. Since I'm always talking about the sun and getting up early, I
Early.
put that into practice when I get up at 6.
Okay.
And I do some form of exercise, which is either I do yoga, I go for a walk, or I do Pilates. So I do one of these three things depending on my mood. And then I take a quick shower and I sit down for my prayers. And I have a very regimented system. I follow a particular parampara and I sit down for that. And that is, I would say, like a medicine for me, right? So after that, I begin teaching. I teach till the afternoon. I take classes on Jyotish. They're all online. And then I take some appointments till about 5. And then I have 2 children, 11 and 8. And then it's time to become the student with them. So, yeah. So spend time with them. 5 to 8 is usually with them. Early to bed, little bit of reading. As a teacher, and the thing about Jyotish is that the more I study, the more I realize how little I know, because this knowledge is so vast, it can take lifetimes. So whatever little bit one knows is such a drop in the ocean. So I love to study. I love to read. So I'm more concentrated on the subject of Jyotish. So yes, I read more about that, prepare for my classes, which I take every day. And yeah, simple life, simple life. Yeah.
Tell me, among all the the clients that you have, the appointments that you take, do you notice maybe off late or in general, do you notice any common like conflict or issues that people face when they're learning astrology or Jyotish?
It's just a lot of ignorance
Okay,
about
how?
life in general. And by that, I just mean the lack of knowledge and the lack of curiosity. Someone's falling sick repeatedly. The first thing I'll tell them to do probably is to give arg to Surya in the morning because he represents our physical health and our spiritual health. But what will happen if I do that? So then I explain that you take, a copper vessel, which is the metal of the sun, you face the east where the sun rises. I mean, it has some importance, right? And when you give water to the sun, there's this sheet that will fall, right, of water. This sheet will come of water. Now, when the sun's light, which is white light, okay, without the sun, there wouldn't be any, color. So the sun's light is white, it hits this medium, and that medium then dissipates into what we call the Vibgyor, violet, indigo, blue, all the colors of the rainbow. Now, what you don't realize is that your body craves color because all your organs are different in color. So when all those different colors get absorbed in your body,
Oh
and it's
wow.
such a easy, natural way. I mean, you probably just go to your garden, go to your balcony, and you're tapping into a natural resource to help you feel better every single day. So that's what it does. Now you're thinking that I'm this religious person, I'm on a balcony. What will people think if they see me doing this? Oh my God, they'll think I've lost my mind. But no, this is so scientific. And this is what you're doing. You're also acknowledging and showing gratitude to that source that powers and gives energy to everything. So it doesn't make you crazy, right? It doesn't make you crazy. So it's just that, I mean, and that was one of the reasons I started teaching Jyotish because I just saw how much it can help,
Yeah.
how much a little bit of knowledge of these things can help you cope better. I mean, when we are looking at a birth chart, we're literally looking at a picture of the sky at the time you were born. So we get a sense of your karmic configuration. And like in life, some things are good and some things are not so good. You will have a mixed bag. Now, once you know that, hey, I have this weakness or whatever, what do? It's not something to cry about and get upset about. It's just so that you can work on it. Karat abhyas. The moment you know something, right, you can work on it. It's not something to feel sad about or get dejected about, but to say, okay, this is one weakness. I mean, if you're overweight, you'll diet, you'll do X amount of things, right? You'll try and get back. If you're diabetic, you'll stop having sugar. So similarly, you have to understand, like in Ayurveda, we say that everyone has a unique, prakriti.
Yeah. Yeah.
So every birth, every human has a unique planetary constitution. So we're just helping you piece that together and saying here, I mean, a um, Jyotish comes from the word Jyoti, which means light. As a Jyotish, it is our duty to bring light in your life. It's not here to scare you. When we look at a birth chart, it for us it's all about seeing, okay, in which direction can we point this person. Let's suss out the positive and help you align your efforts in that direction. Anyone who scares you and makes you panic and you feel like, oh my God,
Yeah.
is not a Jyotish. Because our job is to bring light to you, to give you confidence. Yes, sometimes when we do say that, okay, little rough patch coming, it's also to tell you to chill a bit.
Yeah.
Don't invest X amount of money and start a business right now. Hang on a little bit. Why put your boat out in a storm? But the sound of, oh, I might have 2 months bad or 3 months bad gets, you will have. That is life. And the whole part of prayer or mantra or chanting or meditation is that the waves will never stop for anyone, the highs and the lows. But it just helps you meet those highs and lows with more dignity, with more confidence. Say, I'm having a rough time. And from the moment I wake up in the morning, I am screaming at my husband and my children, and and I'm bringing the whole house down. I'm further entangling myself in negative karma, in negative action. And whereas knowing that I have to make an effort, and we all falter, we all do, but we have to make an effort to say, no, I have to deal with this more stoically. I have to take it in my stride, right? So that's really what we do in our study. We make people aware that you can't live outside of nature. You're part of nature.
You are.
You, you are nature, and you have to respect each part of nature. And that's why we have remedies where we'll say, okay, feed dogs, or we'll say feed ants. They all need our help sometimes, like they help us. So it's all about helping you live your life in a certain way. Like I said, it's the art of daily living and helps you stay more connected to nature. And this is how our ancients lived. I suspect they were happier and they were problems than we have now.
True. Yeah.
Right. That's why we say this is Kali Yuga in that sense. But even when, say, I finish my prayers every day, and there is just so much knowledge in our roots. It's a shame that we're not more aware of it. And I think we are. But I do teach a lot of students who are overseas, who are not of Indian origin, and their knowledge of our roots is unbelievable. Is unbelievable. I mean, really. So, I wouldn't say that, you have to go to a temple, or you have to do puja, you have to do a mantra. I mean, a lot of people, and that's what we do when we, give guidance. Our job is not to say, because Jyotish is not about prediction. I mean, people come and they say, okay, tell me what's going to happen tomorrow. What's going to happen is going to happen. We can help you meet that circumstance in a certain way, give you strength. That's what Shani does, in fact. He gives you the wisdom of detachment, right? And we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, right? I don't remember who said that. Uh, we're not human beings trying to have a spiritual, right? So I think that we have to become more aware. I think our only job really is to evolve, be better
Keep
versions of
growing.
ourselves, and keep growing, right? And it is through those obstacles and those struggles that we will, because the moment we step out of the drama of circumstances and take a few steps back and look at the lesson of what is this trying to teach me, that is one way of coping better. Otherwise, those lessons will keep getting repeated, right? So, connecting with divine forces could be for someone or not. But very simply, even when we do a prayer, for instance, we light a diya, that is just honoring the fire element. That's all. Okay? To begin with. That source that gives energy. When we light an agarbatti, for instance, or some incense, it's for the air element, right? It goes up into the air. We keep water, jala, for the water element, right? Ether element, flowers and fruits, earth element, ground. So it's just like honoring the five elements, and here we are made up of them. So why not say thank you to them once in a while? So I think that yes, there's too much of if you go to a temple, there's something wrong with you, and I think that's what I find, that a lot of people would like to do it, but there's so much of pressure,
So,
and I find that a lot with my clients. That they'll say their family thinks they've gone crazy because they sit for half an hour and they do a little puja, or that they are participating in a havan, or that they are donating, and like people don't understand, a lot of the blockages in your life can get fixed if you give, if you share in your abundance. Nothing will go wrong. You've got to give. Every spiritual whether we even talk in, I mean, Sikhism, for instance, Islam, there is talk of donating 10 x amount percent of your salary every month, exchanging energy, you're giving back. If you don't give, you will not get. You have to share in your abundance. And if you're not able to share as much, you can always serve, donate your time, do something positive for someone. I always tell my students that, hey, if you're facing a real big problem in your life, the easiest thing to begin with, I mean, you don't have to call me up, but just basically help someone with the same problem.
yeah. So interesting.
You're putting that same thing out there. And it's a mirror. The universe is a mirror, right?
And you're inviting that energy back in.
Yeah, whether you're inviting it or not, but I think that every day we've got to strive to be better because we all have, like I said, our darker side, right? The more perverse side. And every day there's a churn. Yeah, we struggle between the good and the bad, and we're so scared of being left out or being left behind, right? There's so much of FOMO, fear of missing out on things. We feel like, hey, we will miss out. But that's that inner struggle which we all go through, but we have to rise above that. And it is through these grahas that we experience our karma. They force us to face our karma. And from that, like, the lotus stays in muddy waters and yet is not, the same symbolism. And that's the thing about Jyotish. It's the eye of the Vedas. So Jyotish is part of the Vedas. It's not a belief system. When people turn around and say, I don't believe in it and I don't this thing. It's not a belief system. It's a system of knowledge. Kids were taught this in gurukuls as part of Vedang. It's a Vedang, okay? Right? It's the eye of the Vedas. So the moment you have this knowledge, everything else, you see things very differently. Everything is connected.
That's true.
And it's so exciting more than anything to study this science. It's like that layer of ignorance, that layer of darkness, that layer of confusion, just more and more clarity that comes in. You know, uh, you don't have to go off to a mountain to be spiritual or sit in some corner. I mean, it just lowers your level of attachment to circumstances and things and even your expectations because you realize that, hey, if I'm suffering a great deal in my life, I probably am responsible too in some way, right? And only I can fix it for myself. No one is going to come and fix anything for you. So we always say that don't shine the torchlight on everyone else. Begin with yourself. Like I think that was Ram Das who said, right, that I can do nothing for you but work on myself, and you can do nothing for me but work on yourself,
God.
right? So same logic in that sense. So spotlight on yourself.
Yeah, always, always. Okay, so wow, we have already spoken for quite some time. Time has
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to ask you if you were to give a message for the women who are listening to this podcast, what would you like to say to them?
And not just women. I mean, I'd say for everyone. I think that loka samasta sukhina bhavantu. When you talk of wealth, prosperity, happiness, start by giving someone else those opportunities too. Just saying that I should be healthy, wealthy, prosperous. You should hope that everyone is. And because, I mean, we've got to all live together, right? We're one team in that sense. So the more we support each other, for women, and we know family to family, in so many families, women are women's greatest enemies. And I think that those are things that we can all work on and we can all make better. Lift each other up. Life is not about it, life is not a competition. We're all going to the same place eventually. We will all end up there eventually, right? So if we get an opportunity to help someone along the way in whatever way, I think that we should immediately take it, yeah, and jump on it because only the blessed get those opportunities. I think
But
be in a position to even help someone, to bring light to someone's life. You may not feel like you're doing anything really, but you never know that one person who you sat with for 1 hour and held their hand and gave them that confidence went on to do some pretty amazing things in their life. So I think that while we all hope for our prosperity, I think we should spread that around as well.
sure. Okay, and if someone who would like to, get in touch with you, work with you, learn from you, how can
So
they
my
get in touch?
classes are always online, and I have a very active Instagram page
Okay, I'll
as
put that
active as I can find the time to keep it. It's a struggle, but
in.
try a little bit. It's pretty consuming. So yes, that and all those numbers, the email. There's my YouTube channel, which I have just started. I have bitten the bullet.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I will be putting a lot of content out there as well.
Oh, that's lovely.
And yes,
Is it going
so
to
you
be
can.
long form content where you're going to?
And yeah, that's something that I'm going to be doing.
Okay.
My classes are also going to be on that so that people
Okay.
can learn, because anyway a lot of the classes, all the classes are recorded and you can learn at your own pace,
Okay.
but I don't do them that many times in the year.
Got
So,
it.
yeah.
All right.
But I will say that learning Jyotish is not about learning how to read a birth chart. There is so much more of every part of knowledge. I mean, we've not even seen a birth chart in this 1 hour conversation. We've talked about life. We've talked about action. What is positive action? What is negative action? We've talked about ways that every day we can make small changes. Get up in the morning, look at the sun, right? Feed an animal, give back, even if it's an ant, offer something, right? Be good to your staff at home. I mean, little actions. Yes, our rishis were very smart. They always give us a little peg. They realized by Kali Yuga we want to know the why of everything, and that's the thing. Because so many times my clients and students will say, "Okay, but if I do this, what will happen?" So I constantly tell them that if you have a crocin, for instance, can you see how it goes in and what the internal function of it is? You feel it, right? So these things you will feel. You will feel that change. And when you feel that change, you will have the faith. And when you live with faith, it's far better than not living with any faith. I mean, we all need tools in our life to get by. So that's what it really is. It shows you those tools. Yeah.
Andy,
Thank you
this
so
is
much,
a very
Akanksha.
fun conversation, and I have learned so much. I think even I'm going to probably adopt few of
I hope
those.
you do.
Yeah, like giving the water to the sun. I think I really resonated with that. So I might.
Yeah, it's something that everyone should do.
I actually have a technical question for that.
Yeah.
Do I have to do it directly? Like I need to be seeing the sun? What if there's a
So in a lot
building
of
in front?
countries, the sun doesn't come out right in the morning, but you should be facing the east.
Okay, so just the
East is in the morning. We say that's where the devtas are, and then
okay.
by the afternoon they turn to the north. Okay, so
Got
that's why even when you do your prayers in the morning, you should be facing the east, and
got
then
it.
in the afternoon, evening, etc., the north, because the
Understood.
northeast is the direction of Jupiter,
Okay.
the guru, right? Ishana Sarva Vidyanam. So Ishan, that's called the Ishan cone.
Okay.
So just face east, and doesn't matter if there's no sun, it's a
Okay.
cloudy day,
Okay. Okay.
but you're in the right direction, and
Yeah.
that's all. Your feet need to be pointed in the right direction.
You got it.
Yeah,
All right.
symbolically and otherwise as well.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you, Bani. Thank you so much for coming on today and taking the
Thank
time
you for having me.
to
Thank
share
you for
your
having me.
wisdom and your knowledge. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
will see you
Thank you
soon.
very much.